So now we got these word problems. It's not going to translate exactly the same way as those other ones did. And if you guys like to draw, then these should come in pretty handy because, well, if you can draw a picture of it, of what's happening here, then hopefully it becomes a little bit easier to visualize in your mind how this is going to work. A wire 33 inches long is cut into two pieces. The longer piece is 9 inches longer than the shorter piece. So we got two pieces, one piece, and then the shorter piece is just missing 9 inches right here. But if we combine the two pieces, then we get 33 inches. So however we do this, I mean, it's really up to you. All right, let's check then. So let's say that the red piece right here represents x. Okay, so I'm going to write an equation for this. Now the other piece, the purple piece, it's just as long as the red piece, but we took off the 9 inches right there. Now if I combined both of these pieces, I've got the long piece, and then I've got the short piece. If I add these two pieces together, how many inches do I get? Well, that was 33 inches. So 33. So this sets up a nice little equation for us. And of course, we got, those are both 1x's. So when I combine them, I get 2x minus 9 equals 33. Now solving this, I would add 9 to both sides. And I got 2x equals 42. And then divide by 2. X equals 21. X is the long piece for me. It wanted us to find the length of the shorter piece. So, if I wanted the length of the shorter piece, I take the long piece. I subtract 9. And I have my answer. But we know the length of that long piece was 21. 21 minus 9, 13 inches, done. Kind of added that wrong in my head. That's actually 12. Right there, 12 inches. That adds up to 33. There is, I should have checked at the end there, which would have shown that. By adding the two pieces together, 21 inches and 12 inches, that gives me the 33 inches, which is how long the original piece was. So, but again, we just were trying to figure out the length of the shorter piece. Now, if by chance you had done it like this and just found the length of the longer piece, again, I can give you like half of the credit because you got about halfway there, maybe a little bit more. The length of a rectangle is 4 centimeters longer than its width. So let's give ourselves a little rectangle here. And the length is generally the longer part, not that it really matters, but the length of a rectangle is 4 centimeters longer than the width. So if we took the width and added 4, it would have the long side. The width, of course, is just the width. Now it tells us the perimeter is 28 centimeters rather. So in other words, if I added the lengths of all the edges of this rectangle, so this side length here is also W plus 4, and this length is W, then we need to find the length and the width. Now right here I have all these written in terms of just the width. Right, this is all, these two are the lengths. So the perimeter is just the width plus the length plus the other width, plus the length, all 4 sides, and this should be the 28 centimeters. Now the width is just the width, that's fine, but we need to replace the lengths with those two expressions that we have, which is the width plus 4. So I should have given myself more space there. All right, now when I combine like terms, I got this W, this one, and this one. That's a total of 4 W's. Then I've got my 4's here and here, which when I combine those, I get a positive 8. and this equals 28. So to solve this thing, we'll subtract 8 from both sides. And we got 4w equals 28 minus 8 is 20. And to solve this, we'll divide both sides by 4. And we can see that w is 5, specifically 5 centimeters. So that's the width, but again, it asks us to find the length as well. So over here, we're going to replace the width with 5. And the length then becomes 9 centimeters. So that's great. We have these two answers. How do we check this? Well, we go back to the original definition of the perimeter, length plus width plus length plus width. 9 plus 5 is 14, plus 9 is 23, plus 5 is 28. So we know now that those two answers are correct. A rectangle has a length that is twice its width. So we can tag one on here. I don't know, something like that. And again, the length is twice the width. The width is just the width. And again, we got a perimeter here. That is 66 yards. So we should identify all of the lengths. The perimeter is kind of like how much length of fence we would need to close in this shape. So we need to add the width plus the length, which in this case is twice the width, plus the other width, plus the other length. And this is our perimeter, which is 66 yards. So in solving this, I've got one W there and one W. If I combine all these W's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 W's equals 66 yards. To solve, I'll divide both sides by 6. So it looks like the width is 11. Now the length right here is twice the width. So to find my length, I'm just going to double the width. 2 times 11, which is 22. Now again, we should label these. In yards, there's our two answers. Now again, if we double these and add them together, we should get the 66 yards, which is true. That gives us 66 yards. So we can write those knowing that our answer is correct. It tells us in here that there are 180 degrees in any given triangle. One angle in the triangle has a measure that is 3 times as large as the smallest. The measure of the third angle is 30 degrees more than that of the smallest. So the middle one and the largest one are both being compared to the smallest one. So let's look again at a picture. It doesn't have to be proportional. So I'm going to say that X is the smallest angle. Now one of the angles is 3 times that smallest angle, so that would be maybe this one, doesn't matter. And then one of the other angles is 30 degrees more than that, so we'd take the X and add 30 degrees. Now all of these should add up to 180 degrees. So amongst our 3 angles, X, 3X, and X plus 30, if we combine these, then we should get 180 degrees. And that's pretty good, because when we combine these, again, we can look at these as 1x's. If I combine my x's, 1 and 3 is 4 plus the 1. That gives us 5x's. Of course, we still got the plus 30. That equals 180. So to solve here, we'll subtract 30 from both sides. And we got 5x. Again, that's the good thing about this, that this becomes a 0 pair. And 180 minus 30 is 150. So to solve, we'll divide both sides by 5. And we see that X is 30. Now that's the smallest angle. It wanted us to find the measure of the largest angle. So we may have to see which of these is largest. It didn't tell us which one was largest. So this smallest angle here is 30 degrees. This one here is 3 times the smallest one, so 3 times 30, that would be 90 degrees. And then we got this angle, which would be 30 plus the 30, that would be 60 degrees. So it appears that the measure of the largest one is the 3 times the smallest one, which is 90 degrees. A bag is filled with green and blue marbles. There are 81 marbles in the bag. If there are 9 more green marbles than blue marbles, so there's 9 more greens, that means you're going to take the blue marbles and add 9. That will tell you how many green marbles there are. Find the number of green marbles and the number of blue marbles in the bag. Well, if we took the green marbles and added the blue marbles, then we should have 81 marbles. But right there we can see that green in relation to blue is the blues plus 9 more marbles. So if we add that, and I can put that in parentheses if it helps us distinguish between the two. If I add that to the blue marbles, I should get 81 marbles. Now when I solve this, this will tell us how many blue marbles there are, but it should be pretty easy to figure out how many green ones there are. So, if I combine my like terms, I've got 2b's plus the 9 equals 81. And if I subtract 9 from both sides, I get 2 sets of blue marbles for 72. And so to solve for the b, I'll divide both sides by 2. And we can see that the blue marbles turn out to be 36 marbles. Well, that's one of the answers. To find the green marbles, all I'm going to do is take the blue marbles, 36, and add 9 of them. So the green marbles, we've got 45 green marbles. And if we add those, we should get 81, and we do, so that checks off as well. The total distance from Boise to Salt Lake City is 181 miles, less than the distance from Salt Lake City to Denver. If the total distance from Boise to Denver is 869 miles, what is the distance from Boise to Salt Lake? So Salt Lake City to Denver, that's what we're trying to figure out here, right? We want Boise to Salt Lake. Salt Lake to Denver is 181 miles less than Boise to Salt Lake. So Boise to Salt Lake City is 181 miles less than Salt Lake City to Denver. So we'll make this x minus 81. Now from Boise to Denver, that told us it was 869 miles. So, from Boise to Denver, you'd have to go from Boise to Salt Lake City. And then you'd have to go from Salt Lake City to Denver. Well, we've written the expression from Boise to Salt Lake. That was x minus 181. And from Boise to Denver, this whole thing should equal 869 miles. Salt Lake to Denver, of course, is x. So combined, this should give us a sum of 869 miles. So solving this one, combining my x values, I got 2 x's minus 181 should equal 869 miles. Solving by adding 181 to both sides, Again, that's to get our two x's by themselves. Let's add it this time. That would be better. So that's a 0, carry the 1, 7, 15, and then 10. 1050 equals 2x. I was wondering, that seemed like it was going to be a little small. So now I divide by 2, and I get x equals 525. Yeah, that seems right. So I'm going to replace the x from Boise to Salt Lake, that's what we want, with 525, because that's Salt Lake to Denver. But we're going to take off 181 miles out of that. In fact, instead of doing it horizontally, I'll do it vertically. That's a little bit easier. Minus 181. 4, I'll borrow 1 here. Make that 12 minus 8 is 14. I'm sorry, 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So from Boise to Salt Lake is 344. Again, we should label this because it is a word problem. 344 miles.